Hi, I'm Chris.
I'm Bebbo.
And I'm Millsy.
Each week, we're going to unleash the thrill of sporting discourse as we debate some of the hottest topics across the globe.
With insightful analysis, diverse perspectives, and engaging discussions, we strive to entertain and inform as we tug at the fabric of social morality.
We dive into the ultimate court of conversation and feel the friction of mass debated sports.
Welcome, listeners, to episode 13 of the Masturbated Sports podcast. We're again without our host and British mate this week. He's still drunk, I believe, celebrating Scotland's loss to Australia in the T20 World Cup that saved the Poms the utter humiliation of missing the Super 8 series. Chris, can you believe that the Scots got that close to winning on their own and the Aussies didn't throw that game? You know, it was there for the moment to take.
Mate, I switched off once New Zealand bowed out, so yeah. We talk about embarrassing. You talk about I thought I'd get him first. You talk about embarrassing, mate. Yeah, once they bowed out, mate, it's all bets are off. So it's on to the Euros now. No, I'm joking. We're not even in that too. So I won't be watching that. But yeah, I don't know how.
It'd be quite the feat for New Zealand to be in the Euros, considering they're in the wrong hemisphere and definitely the wrong continent. But on the cricket side, I think, yeah, New Zealand, they didn't even get to their third game before they were eliminated from the World Cup. But how is Lockie Ferguson's little last knock there as a bowler? Final innings against PNG, finished with figures of 3 for 0 after 4. I think it's a record in the short form there. So very impressive. Pity the rest of the nation's dog shit at cricket. Righto, well, look, tonight's episode is going to be very rugby league centric for you listeners. But don't switch off if you don't know anything about rugby league. We need the views. We'll start with the jewel in the crown of the sport, State of Origin. Obviously, teams were named for Game 2. And Michael Maguire is attempting to roll up Queensland or Billy Slater by insinuating that Slater was a bit of a dirtbag in his playing days and probably shouldn't throw stones in glass houses, which is a surprising comment considering Billy Slater hasn't really commented on the Joseph Suaalii send-off. And then the Raging Bulls fired back, having a swipe at Michael Maguire's playing career, essentially calling him irrelevant as a football player. Now, it all reeks of a lead up to a dodgy boxing event masterminded by a promoter with zero imagination. It probably pays for sex in alleyways. The insults have been as weak as a meth addict's teeth so far. Do you expect the intensity, Chris, to rise over this next week? And are you excited by the prospect of potential fireworks on the field next Wednesday?
Mate, I don't mind it. I like the fact that they're trying to hype it up because, let's be honest, I think everybody knows going into Game 2, Queensland's probably going to win it. And so I like the fact that they're trying to throw barbs and trying to fire it up and trying to drive a bit of hype behind it. And hopefully it leads to a bit of biff on the field too, because I think that's one thing that's been missing. You know, obviously not we're only one game in this, but you know everybody loves it when we get a bit of biff in Origin. So, mate, yeah, I'm hoping it continues, and I'm hoping that the insults come thicker and faster, and I hope Queensland plays into it a little bit too. Starts to throw it back over the fence. It'd be good.
Well, you mentioned biff in State of Origin. It was the best. It's definitely been missing. Like, they should alter the rules where it's not the same sort of punishment as it is in a normal NRL game for throwing a punch. You look at the All-In Brawl in 1995. It was epic. Joey Johns getting Jamie Goddard's right planted on his chin in 97. Another fucking moment up here for the Wank Bank. And Dane Gagai and Matt Burton throwing fists 2 years ago. Now, that was amazing because it had been so long since we'd sort of seen it in that arena or in rugby league in general. I would love to see some guys throw hands, but I just wish that they altered the rules so that it wouldn't affect the teams on the field so I guess strongly with send-offs or sin bins as such. But
Yes and no.
look,
I mean, obviously, I don't want to see I don't want to see send-offs again, because as bad as Swale's hit was in game one, it did kind of take away from the game, and it takes away from any spectacle when teams get reduced in numbers. But I think if it's an even sort of sin binning, that's not so bad, and it gives the ability to open the game up a bit more too. So yeah, I mean, to your point, I don't like seeing players go to the bin for it, and I think that they should look at relaxing those rules particularly during Origin. But I suppose it's just we go back to the optics of it, and and mums watching the game and that sort of stuff, and wanting their kids to be involved, and I suppose when you compare it against rugby union and rugby and AFL in terms of a thug sport, I think they just want to try and stamp that out. So which is a shame, because it's good, it's great for the product. I think particularly in those games there. So yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. It'd be good to see it make a return.
Yeah, well, look, we'll talk about the few changes in each camp. Certainly wasn't expected from a Queensland point of view to make changes that weren't required. Jermaine Hopgood, I guess we didn't really know he was going to be ruled out, but obviously that one had to happen. And with Felice Kafusi coming in, well, he played most of the last game anyway once Walsh was removed from the contest. But were you surprised with Selwyn Cobbo's omission and Kurt Capewell coming out of the clouds to be brought back into the frame?
Yeah, I am, because I thought I read somewhere that Cobbo was in the same camp, that he was under a potential injury cloud too and didn't necessarily want to take it in. But on the replacements, for me, I don't know why they haven't. They've gone with Kafusi coming into the side, Capewell into I think 17th man, and then Gagai's in. Or the other way around. But anyway, Gagai's been called up, but he's not featuring in the team. I don't know why you wouldn't, if Billy Slater's got the logic of what he did in game one, bringing Cobbo in and putting him on the bench, wouldn't you bring Gagai in, put him on the bench? Like, I know that, they've done that with Capewell. I think that's what they've done. They've put Kafusi up into where Hopgood was, Capewell's come onto the bench, and Gagai's gone into the 18th man. I just wonder if, obviously Capewell can play all those positions. He can play in the forward pack, and then you can put him out in the centres as well. But I just feel like if it's going to happen, obviously you're going to be taking it out of your back line, and I just think it makes more sense to put Gagai. Well, we talked about this last week. Gagai grows an extra leg at Origin, and I was kind of a little bit shocked. I mean, I know I didn't name him in my team, but he is. You'd have him there every other day of the week, right? So, yeah, I'm a little bit confused with the logic, given what Billy Slater did in game one, and then to kind of not back that up, because as well as I do, they're going to come after. I think they've already come out and said it in game two. They're going to go after him again. So there's a high likelihood, given the fact that guys just had a significant head trauma, any kind of impact to the head, he's gonna fail in HIA. So. Yeah, interesting selection. But I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I tend to agree in the way that you say you're confused by the change in logic, because Capewell isn't your textbook outside back. He has played centre for Queensland Origin time, and he had a cracking game there. One series that we won, but he got stitched up at other times too because of, he might be athletic for a forward, but he just can't match up against some of those outside backs. But I don't necessarily agree with putting Dane Gagai on the bench either, because if anything happens in that back line, I think he's got an eye on Latrell on that left side. Valentine Holmes is going to have to try and defend Latrell. If that doesn't work, maybe he switches Hammer and Holmes around. Hammer's a pretty sound defender, but maybe he's thinking that extra guy on the bench, Capewell, going with that bigger person opposed to Dane Gagai, could be to try and combat that. Yeah, a bit more of a stout defender. Because as much as I love Dane Gagai, he's not the strongest fucking defender.
Yeah.
So he's more of an option to put on the wing than he is in the centres against Latrell. So, yeah, I think that might be what he's thinking. But, yeah, I do agree. It is a bit strange to not go an out-and-out back. But when you think about it, is there really anyone else close to Cobbo that he could have opted for in Queensland? And I don't really think there is at the moment.
No,
So,
probably not.
yeah. On the other side of things, we go over to New South Wales, and obviously, it was mentioned, Latrell's in the centres and Suaalii was always getting replaced. The noise was too great about Latrell filling that role. But I've got a little overs-unders question for you here. How many tackles does Latrell Mitchell get forced to make? 40, over or under?
I'm going to go 40 over. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, honestly, Queensland's got to just be running lines at him. Surely.
100%,
You'd burn him
100%.
out in defence. He'll have nothing in attack.
Yeah.
And will he cave? Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see how New South Wales, I guess, try and hide him a little bit if that happens, whether they get creative with, easing his defensive workload. But Billy Slater's pretty smart there. Look, another change was Edwards coming in for Teddy. That was always expected. He was picked ahead of him originally. But
what do you
the
think?
halfback,
just on that. What do you think about that? Because I didn't think Teddy had that bad of a game. I know that Edwards was injured and he had to come in and answer an SOS call. But I mean, I didn't think when you look across the park, and I know that it was always going to happen, but I didn't think Teddy had that bad of a game. I thought he actually had a pretty good game. And watching Edwards on the weekend, obviously it looks like he's got some sort of quad or hamstring injury. He didn't play the best game for a guy who's just about to come across and play Origin, play his debut. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Would you have still gone ahead with that selection, or do you think? Did you watch the game? Did you watch Edwards' game on the performance on the weekend?
Yeah, I did, and he certainly wasn't his usual self. But if he's not fit, if he's not 100% fit, then no, you're right. Maybe they should have just stuck firm with Teddy. But if he's fit, then 100% swap him. He was going to be the man to begin with. I'm a lot scareder as a Queensland supporter with him in the team than I am with Teddy in the team. And that's, Teddy's obviously champion player, but Dylan Edwards is just the fittest human in Australia. So he would just show up time and time and time again. And when the goings gets tough late in this game, if they get a bit of momentum, that's the guy I'd be scared shitless of. So, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer if he's fit enough to play. Let's put it that way. Halfback, Nico gets dropped for Mitchell Moses. Do you think he's a bit hard done by? And I know we've discussed it last week and we all knew Moses was going to get picked. But do you think it's a bit hard done by that he's dropped even though he wasn't really given a proper chance again to show what he can do?
Yeah, I think that, reading everything in the papers and that, and I think even Mitch Moses came out and said it, that he was made a bit of a scapegoat for game one, given the fact they were down to 12 for the whole game and he didn't really get a shot or get a look in. So, I don't know, mate, because at the end of the day, they are pivotal positions, the 1, the 6, the 7, the 9, and they're the guys that you want to turn a game on its head. Or at least, there's been plenty of games where teams have gone down a man for an entire game and either come back and won or it been very competitive. And New South Wales just dipped out and that was it and they were done. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not putting that all on Nico Hines, but I don't know. I think that, again, we go back to the Edwards-Tedesco discussion. If Moses is fit before that game, does he get the nod over Nico Hines anyway?
Yeah, fair call.
And I think the answer is yes, to be honest.
I feel like if Moses was fit for that game, it was Jerome Luai that probably wouldn't have been playing. But that was from the outside looking in. It seemed like Jerome Luai was the last minute grasp because they just ran out of fucking fit options there in the halves. But again,
on Jerome
you
Luai,
know, we were in argument last week about Luai and Hines.
Yeah.
I would have kept Hines. You would have kept Luai. Like, for me, I feel like Jerome Luai's failed more in State of Origin already than Nico Hines has. So why not actually give him a few games to find his feet?
on Jerome Luai, if you watch the game on the weekend, did you notice he skipped across the field and saw that dummy went straight through the line? I was thinking of you when he scored that try.
I did, yeah. I did, yeah. And maybe he's a listener of the podcast, mate, because it's the first time he didn't step off his fucking left foot. You know, like, there you go. He finally doesn't just step back into the defence and he stitches them up on the outside. Maybe he's learnt something, yeah. Good point. All right. So another guy I thought was hard done by was Hines' teammate, Cameron McInnes. I thought he, you know, again, he's a workhorse, tried his ass out, made a shit ton of tackles, yet he's been dropped while other guys have retained their position. What's your thought on McInnes getting dropped? Like, does it kind of reek of a failed decision initially?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought the effort was there, and I just think, again, we go to, you know, we talked about this on the last podcast about New South Wales making just wholesale changes across the board, and I think they made 5, and obviously they've had to do that due through to injury and whatnot. But you know, like you say, to drop McInnes after the effort that he put in, and you know, you wouldn't be embarrassed if you'd put that effort in and come off the park and had a look at the stats, and do you know what I mean? So I think, I agree. I think he was
100%.
I think he was pretty hard done by, to be honest, and I think it's a bit of head scratching going on there as to why they've done that.
So they'll bring Yo back in, and he'll play like he does at Penrith, and DCE will take another interception for Xavier Coates' try. But on the bench, you know, obviously they've dropped they've dropped Hudson Young. So yeah, they've got rid of Hudson Young and brought in Connor Watson. Now, I don't know anything about his selection, but I think his speed around the ruck, around tied forwards late in these halves, is going to be very dangerous and a good asset for New South Wales. Do you think that one's an upgrade, at least?
I don't know. See, I had Hudson Young in my team to start off with, and I rate Hudson Young as a player. So, you know, you're throwing another debutant into the mix. I don't know. Again, about that one, I talk about making wholesale changes, and I just don't know why. Again, I don't think Hudson Young played a horrible game. So for me, it's kind of, I just feel like sometimes they're making changes for change's sake, you know? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I know you can't do this, but Jake Trbojevic, like, you know, did he put the effort in?
Well, he did, but did he make an impact? Like, you know, did he have any sort of impact on the game?
There's a lot more guys ahead of him, I think, that probably deserve their spot, you know. So, yeah, the Hudson Young one, I think, you know, I'm a big fan of Hudson Young. I think he's a good player, and you're throwing another debutant into the mix, potentially dangerous. But, you know, it is in Melbourne, so it's a neutral ground. You know, probably a little less riskier as opposed to doing it in Queensland or something like that if it was game 2 in Queensland. So, yeah, I don't know.
Look, I said last week when we talked about the changes they should make that I don't think they should carry Liam Martin and Hudson Young both in the team, purely because I feel like they're almost the same player. So Liam Martin probably offers a little bit more than Hudson Young in certain areas, especially his ability to play more in the middle and toughen up through the middle. So I don't hate the fact that Hudson Young got dropped. And honestly, he was the Cowboys' best player in Canberra on the weekend, Hudson Young. So it's not like he doesn't have that shocking game in him. So I think Connor Watson is actually a good selection. I think that maybe that decision probably had more weight to the decision to drop Cameron McInnes, because I think you'll find Reece Robson will play a lot of lock at certain times during the game while Connor Watson comes on, or Connor Watson will come on at lock, but they'll both be on the field, you know, a la what Queensland do, because that's what New South Wales do, just try and copy what Queensland do and can't do it as good. And then they rinse and repeat for series loss after series loss. So, what's your prediction? We don't need to talk about this again next week. So, what's your prediction for Melbourne game 2?
Look, I said at the top that I thought that Queensland will go in there and win it, but I actually, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say I think New South Wales will square it up. I think New South Wales will square it up, and I'm going to go with a 26-18 scoreline.
Righto. I also have 26 scoreline. I've actually got 26-12, and I'm going to say Queensland put it away. I just don't see. I do like some of the changes they've made, but they're going to go into their 5th Origin in a row with a different halves pairing or something like that. New fullback too. I just don't like what their starting forward pack offers. Olakau'atu is not going to have an impact with 25 minutes on the field. Put him out there for 80.
Yeah.
Jake Trbojevic gets no go forward. I've said in the past, he's only front row in the competition with 0 post-contact meters, if not negatives, in that stat line. And Isaiah Yeo is just a distributor. So it's a lot of weight to put on fucking poor Payne Haas's shoulders to get that team going forward through the middle third of the field. It's a lot of weight to put on those outside backs to come in and do work. And Toto and Lomax will do that. And Crichton will do that. And Edwards will do that. But Latrell, will he fucking do those hit-ups? Of course he fucking won't. So it's why Bradman Best wasn't selected in the centres is beyond me. He was fucking outstanding on Sunday, and the last game before he got injured, he was outstanding again. So
I think that game against the Eels basically solidified Latrell Mitchell's spot, right? I mean, that was pretty much what signed it. But yeah, look, I know I do agree with the fact, they're coming in Edwards, debutant at fullback. Obviously, they're going to pepper him. Latrell Mitchell brings a lot, regardless of what we say and what we, the fitness for him is going to be
only in the right circumstances. He only brings a lot in the right circumstances.
That's right. If they get their tails up and if they can get a sniff, then you watch. I think he lights the game on fire. I honestly think Mitch Moses is going to have a blinder. I think Mitch Moses, the way he's playing footy at the moment, there was a game, I forget, a couple of games back, I forget who they played. It was at home. And he was just electric, So I think if New South Wales wins, I think Mitch Moses gets man of the match. There we go.
Ooh,
big call.
Righto. No, that's fine. I like it. It's bold. Everyone likes a bold call, so I might as well pick a man of the match too while I'm at it, and I may as well go bold. Daly Trevin. No. Yeah, no, fuck it. Double it up.
You're going to double back to back.
Yeah, fuck yeah, he's a legend.
No,
How good was he on the weekend? How good was he on the weekend? Fuck me, he is the master, that guy.
If I've got to pick one for Queensland, I think Hammer gets it.
Ooh, missed out last time. He's getting a reclamation run, eh?
Well, that's a good point, actually.
All right.
He scored 3 last time, didn't he? And he still couldn't get it. So he's probably no. He wasn't going to score 5. Yeah, you're right. He's probably no chance. Yeah, scrub that out.
He'll score all 26 points in their 26-12 victory. All right. On to Clubland, the NRL. I'm going to talk about a few key free agent. Well, they're not all key, but they're all, I guess, mainstays in their club or potential future mainstays in their club. So we're going to pick one from each team and say whether we think they should re-sign them or they should let them walk. I guess why. So do you want to start or do you want me to start?
No, I'll go. I'll open.
I'll start.
You want to start?
Okay. No, you go. Fine.
Okay.
I'll go.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go because the Warriors are the top of the list, so it makes sense. So, so obviously Shaun Johnson comes off contract this year. I think Shaun Johnson has turned the game on its head last year and this year. Obviously, he's come off the boil a little bit in the last couple of weeks. I think the Warriors should let him go. I think he's just starting to get a little bit past it. I think they've got Harris Tavita and Tamari Martin there, who can fill a pretty good combination there in the halves. So I think it's probably time to move on from SJ and start to build a future. What are your thoughts?
Yep, total agreement. Tamari Martin, without Shaun Johnson, was one of the Warriors' best players and probably some of the best football he's played in a long time, if not ever. And when Luke Metcalf comes back, I like that combo. I think that's a good combo. Shaun Johnson, magical year last year. He's just not living up to it this year, and he's lost his edge. It's like when he plays, they're boring. And when he doesn't play, they do what they're good at, and they fucking play expansive football and they attack from anywhere in the field. So I think he should move on. And a little bonus question, do you think he should just hang him up, or do you think he's worth another team's worth having a crack to see if they can squeeze a little bit more juice out of him?
I think another team should have a crack, and I'd be looking. If I was the Titans, I would I'd try and snap him up. But yeah, I think a team that's in dire need of a decent half with experience, with a younger team that he can help drive him around the park. So yeah, I don't think he's.
What about the Bulldogs then, mate? They're about a half away from being a somewhat good team.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, let's put that on the back burner until we get to the Dogs. Let's put that on the back burner until we get to the Dogs.
Okay, fair call. All right, so we'll move on to the Roosters, and Angus Crichton is obviously yes, so we're not going to talk about him today. Daniel Tupou, he's obviously getting long in the tooth, old in his career, but he's still performing at a high level. They've got Mark Nakanatizi. I got no fucking idea how to pronounce him. Don't cancel me like Aaron Molan. He's arriving from Union next year. He'll potentially play on a wing if he gets up to speed quick enough. But they're losing Manu. They're losing Joseph Suaalii. Billy Smith gets injured fucking 19 games out of 18. So I think Daniel Tupou should get an extension there at the Roosters, if not just for another year. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I think for all the things you mentioned, and I think, his height and his experience, he's such a target with that height. I just think he's a class player, and I think if you can get him at the right price, 100%. And all the people that you mentioned that are going in that back line, Suaalii, Joey Manu, like they're losing a lot of talent in that back line, so you can't lose him as well. You just, Teddy's getting on. Like I know he's an older player, but I would be signing Tupou for sure.
And the thing is, I know he's a winger and they're losing two. They're both their starting centres. But Dom Young, there was rumours that he only signed with the Roosters originally over South, so whoever else was caught him because the Roosters have given him a pathway to a centre position. So potentially he moves in one next year with the Wallaby on the wing.
Yeah, and also on there, I don't know if I'd put him in the centres, to be honest. I don't know if he's a centre.
I don't think he can defend in the centres. But,
No.
yeah, I guess, we'll see what happens. All right. Who have we got next?
So, on to the Eels and Bailey Simonson. So, look, I would keep him. I just think he can cover multiple positions in the back line. He's extremely versatile, provides depth to that squad. Defensively, he's very, very good. I would sign him. I'd keep him.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. So now they've got Lomax coming next year. Penasini's obviously locked down a centre position. We don't know whether Blaze Talangi's going to be there. That's a big one. Obviously, they want to sign him. That's why we're not really talking about him. But Micah Sivo's on the outer. So the Eels have, outside the Tigers, probably the worst outside back depth in the league. So I think they shouldn't let anyone go that's half decent outside back. So, 100% Simo stays.
Yep.
All right, the Cowboys, and this one's dear to my heart because I can't wait to get Chad out of town. Fucking hell. Mate, we're going to be like the people in Shrek's swamp with pitchforks and fucking stuff soon. I know he had a good game on the weekend against Canberra, but it's a rarity, okay? Let's not fucking let one game get to our heads. He is a fucking anchor. He's got the worst kicking game of any starting half in the NRL. He's got the 10th worst kicking game of any starting half in the NRLW. He's an anchor. He needs to go. Jake Clifford's younger. He's got a better kicking game. He's a better defender. Tom Duffy's an exciting prospect, along with Jackson Perdue, who's already fucking debuted in the centres this year, even though he's a halfback fullback. Look, time to cut cord. Don't fucking waste your salary cap paying an old veteran who's not going to get you over the hump. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, concur, mate. I think at 33, his age and his speed is starting to decline too much. Yes, he's good from an experience perspective, but you've got Tom Dearden now, he's played Origins and Grand Finals, and he's got the experience now. So you don't necessarily need a guy like Townsend floating around. I mean, obviously he's an ex Warriors man too, and I was actually pretty gutted when he left the Warriors because he wasn't playing too bad. But I think he's just getting a bit long in the tooth now. So yeah, I'm with you, mate. I would let Townsend go. And you're probably going to ask the bonus question: should he hang him up or go somewhere else? I think it's probably time to hang him up.
I wasn't, but no, I disagree. He can go to England. That would be great. He'll actually probably go to England, win Man of Steel. That's how it goes. If you've played 6 A-grade games in the NRL, you win Man of Steel in your first year in England. It's just how it is. Just ask Brodie Croft.
So the Broncos and Josiah Karapani. I think, given the fact that he's a young prospect, he's a good, solid centre. I think the fact that he's going to become a valuable asset to the Broncos. Obviously, when Herbie Farnworth left a pretty big hole there. I know Cobbo plays in the centres now, but he's probably better suited to the wing. And so that left a pretty big hole there when Herbie left. And I know he's playing centres in the moment. He's playing well, and you want him with his hands on the ball. But I just think he's a young talent, and I think, and you don't know what Stagg's going to do as well in terms of where he's going to go. I think they were saying that he's going to stay on at the Broncos, but it's going to come down to salary cap too with those guys too. And I think, given he's a young prospect, you'll probably pick him up pretty cheap and can develop him. I'd be leaning towards keeping him.
Yeah, I agree. Cobbo and Staggs are both off contract after next season. And how the Broncos are going to keep both of them, I don't see it happening. There'll be one gone. Sydney Roosters are a team we've already talked about who are going to have money for outside backs. One of those will end up in Roosters colours. Put your money on it, sports bet, whatever it's paying. It's good odds. But Josiah Karapani, whether they stay or not, has a role in that team purely because of rep honours. They're going to constantly lose players to rep things. You need depth, injury. He can play on the wing, he can play on the centres. And honestly, I fucking like him. I think he's a really good athlete, very elusive. And, yeah, the only thing he needs to learn to do is pass to an open winger because that was fucking shocking against the Titans. But, oh well. And speaking of the Titans, Kieran Foran. Look, he's an ex-New Zealand player. He's won World Cup with New Zealand. He's had a very good career. It's lasted probably 6 years longer than I thought it was going to there at one stage because he just was injured and useless for a long time. He's come back the last 4 years, played decent footy, but it's time to hang him up, rather. You're not helping your team. I feel like the Titans were better with Tom Weaver at 7. What's your thought?
Mate, that's exactly what I've got for my notes here. Let him go. Too old. Need to rebuild the halves pairing. It's time.
So
for
look,
him to go.
Tom Weaver's off contract. Would you just re-sign Tom Weaver?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I just think for all the things you mentioned about Foz, he's had a great career, and he's a real journeyman. But he's just getting too old, mate. And the Titans don't need too old at the moment. The Titans are in real trouble if they don't start to sort their shit out. You know what I mean?
Fucking oath they are.
Because
They have been for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, all these Gold Coast teams are, it's almost just cursed down there. To be honest, going off topic, but I think it's where the stadium is, mate. I think, and I know the previous teams haven't been, obviously subject to that, but you need to put it in the town. You need to put it make it easy to get in and out of the game.
City.
Put it right in the Gold Coast. Put it right in the Gold Coast. I don't give a fuck what it costs.
Yeah.
Put other teams there as well. Build it into a basketball stadium as well. Whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is that you need to be able to make it easy for punters to get in and out. It's a tourist hotspot. People are going to come into town and be like, oh, there's a rugby league game on. I'll go and watch that. People from all around the world would be like, oh, I've never watched rugby league. I'll go and watch that. Out at Robina, you're fucking stuck in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to watch it. Fuck that. So, yeah, anyway, sorry, got off topic a bit there. But, I just think the poor old Titans are in trouble.
Yeah, you know what they should do? Fucking evict everyone from Chevron Island and just turn it into a sports precinct.
100%. They need to do
fucking
something,
magic, mate. And you think about the tourism. People already know what the Gold Coast is, and if they're doubling up and they're getting something else with it, well, I might as well do it. Might as well pull the trigger on that trip I was always going to do. I might as well go to the Swingers Club on the outskirts of town. Look, I used to work with this girl. Shout out to Ashley Wardrop. She once said, no good athletes come from the Gold Coast. That's why every team at the Gold Coast fucking sucks. Now, look, she's half right. There's a lot of good athletes that come from the Gold Coast, but yes, every team on the Gold Coast does suck, and they've all been failures for one reason or other. And I think you're somewhat on the money there. It's a bit hard to support a team when it's too much of a mission in your own fucking town to get to and from that stadium. And yeah, well, I mean, it sort of contradicts what I said 2 weeks ago about just travel if you like them that much. But yeah, Robina is a shit spot. It is. It's fucking terrible.
But let's be honest, who the fuck is going to go and travel to watch the Titans when they're playing the way they're playing? I'm not going out there to. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know that's got a fair weather sailor attitude about it, but and conversely, I was going to say before as well, or the same. Look at the Suns. The Suns are out at Carrara, middle of nowhere. It's not the middle of nowhere, but it's you got to drive there or catch a bus. No one wants to drive or catch a bus, or you know what I mean. Like, and I know that all stadiums can't be, but I think that's why Suncorp is so successful, and they got lucky, or obviously, but you can
and Queensland Country Bank now, mate. Now that it's in the city, it's so much better.
Correct. Yeah. So anyway, we digress. On to the Dolphins and Cody Nikorima. So I think again, Cody can play multiple positions, can cover a wide range of positions, and brings in that flexibility to the team. I would sign Cody Nikorima. I think he's a good little player. I think that they can build in the next couple of years, build a bit of a future around him and some other key players, and I would sign him.
Yeah, I agree, and I honestly think the Dolphins probably already are trying to sign him. And the hold-up is probably whether he wants to follow Uncle Wayne to South. Now, Wayne said he wasn't going to rob any players that the Dolphins wanted to keep, so this is going to be an interesting case study, isn't it, about what they do here. But, yeah, I agree. Him and Isaiah Katoa have actually built up a nice little repertoire between the two. Good little combo, so 100%. Wouldn't even be a question. Yep. All right, Newcastle, and there's not too many off-contract players at Newcastle that there was to go for. So I've gone for Anari Tuala. And look, Tom Jenkins is there, young winger. They've got James Schiller arriving next year. I'm a big fan of James Schiller, actually. I think that was a very good signing. And if he was playing at the West Tigers, he'd be their best outside back. But look, Anari Tuala, you never have too many good outside wingers. I'd probably let him go purely because he's good, but I think you could probably get someone who does 90% of that job for 20% of the value. What's your thoughts?
My thought was depending on how much you're going to have to pay him because, like you mentioned, he is a winger, but he can play in the centres. He's never going to get a centre spot unless you get an injury through, with Braben Best or Gagai getting injured. And Gags, let's be honest, Gags is getting towards the end of his career too. So in terms of longevity and injuries, But from a wing perspective, obviously you've got Greg Marshall as well. Look, I think, for me, it would be price dependent. Their real trouble, Newcastle's real trouble at the moment, or not trouble, it's quandary, is that fullback position. They've got so much talent in that fullback position, with Armstrong and...
Well, David Armstrong's apparently asked for a release to go play in England.
Correct,
So,
to go to Lee Leopards. Is it?
yeah,
He's going to
so
Lee,
he won't be there. Yeah,
No,
Lee. And apparently they're going to let him go.
That's right. Now, and they're going to let him go, or he's going to go. But there's just there is a lot of raw talent there. You know what I mean? Who was the other young fellow who debuted on the weekend or played on the weekend at fullback?
Yeah, what's his fucking name? Yeah,
He had a blinder. Had an absolute blinder. So
Fletcher Sharp? No,
that's
not
what
Fletcher. Yeah, was it
Fletcher.
Fletcher Sharp? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Fucks
Anyway,
me.
great
Some blonde
player.
guy with a mullet.
Correct. Had a great game. Yeah. So look, I'd keep Naratawala. Okay, over to
You'd
the
keep?
C.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, price dependent though. It would be price dependent, and this is a tough thing too
Right.
because we're having this conversation without like a real understanding of salary cap and what you'd have to pay for him. So
100%.
if you were to come to me and said, okay, Inara Tuala, you've got this amount of money to play with, would you keep him? Yes or no? That's a different conversation. That makes it.
Well, I feel like Inari Tuala would get more money from a Super League team than I'd offer him to stay at Newcastle. You know what I mean? Or he could get more money from another hungry outside back team like the Tigers, I keep mentioning. But I just don't think the Knights there. I think if you've got to pay him 300,000 or high 200s, it's too much to keep a guy that might not be in your best 17 next year. Who knows?
Yeah. Over to the Seagulls and Jamie Humphries, the hooker, the halfback turned hooker, Jamie Humphries.
Hooker.
Yeah, so Jamie Humphries, good young player, just come through the ranks, obviously through Manly, as I mentioned, started as a halfback and through Jersey Flag, and that came up and changed position, became a hooker, and actually got player through the Jersey Flag team for playing hooker. I would sign him. I think, again, when you talk about young talent, this guy's a young guy, like some of the other guys we've mentioned in here. So they're at the start of their career, and you would hate to, you look at the Seagulls hooking position, you've got Lachlan Croker, and then you've got some other guys behind that. I just think if you can pick him up, you're going to get the ability to probably pick him up on the cheap and not pay the overs for it. So, yeah, I'd sign him and pick him up.
I would, I'd agree. They've actually started transitioning him back to halfback the last 2 weeks. I hate that word transitioning. That's taken a real negative connotation the last few years. But
what is the pronoun for halfback?
Yeah, them, they. I don't know. But look, I think with DCE, he's getting better every year, obviously. But he's just going to fall off a cliff one day. Like talent-wise, it's just his body's not going to be able to do what his brain can do anymore. And I think that Jamie Humphries, they sent him back to he stayed in New South Wales Cup. They sent him back to halfback a couple of weeks ago. They picked up Jake Simpkin as a hooker from the Tigers mid-season. Jamie Humphries went back to halfback, killed it. And look, if he can learn behind DCE, you need to have a succession in place. And if he's their only halfback or the only decent halfback they've got in that system at the moment, they've got to sign him, at least keep him there another couple of years, if nothing more than a very low-priced insurance policy.
Yeah, and you've got the versatility of covering. You got the versatility of them covering 2 to 3 roles as well, half, 5'8", or hooker. So I think again price dependent, but a young player, young talent, why not?
All right, Cronulla. And this one's an absolute no-brainer for me because Kyle Iro is 24 years old, fucking eats meters like Latrell does fucking McDonald's Happy Meals. So many. He's good. He's good. Oh, I can't believe that he was nearly let go last season. I can't believe that he hasn't been extended yet. He's a very good centre. Sign him in a fucking heartbeat.
Yep, I concur for all the things you mentioned in terms of meters. But if we look at him defensively, he's actually a great defensive player as well. And I think
I did hear that.
Compared to Talakai. So if you look at if you compare him to Talakai, Talakai makes a unbelievable offensive attack, horrendous in defence. Makes a huge number of missed tackles, and whereas Iro does not miss a lot of tackles and makes a lot of meters with the ball too. So yeah, I agree. I would sign him. I don't think have we disagreed on anything yet. No.
Yeah, 100% we have. Yeah. Something. You said Chad Townsend was amazing. No, I don't think we have actually. You need to be more unagreeable. Disagreeable. No, look, in Talakai's defence, though, it's pretty hard to defend centres when you're a fucking front rower out in the edge. So
that is true. That's true. He's a keg on legs. So yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Me, Tigers. Adam Dewey. So what did I have here? Look, it's probably a no for me. Given his previous injuries and his propensity to injuries, unless I could pick him up on a cheap or not a cheap, but a performance-based contract that would link him to not being injured and actually getting some time on the park, it's a no for me.
I'll take him. Here we go. Disagreeing right now. I'll take him 100%.
That was
West Tigers. No, it wasn't. No, West Tigers are too talent poor to let someone with some talent leave. Like, I understand the injury concern, understand paying for someone's going to be on the sideline. But what are they going to spend their fucking money on anyway? They may as well give him a 12-month extension. Maybe with a team option. Asking for a team option that maybe after 8 weeks or 10 weeks, you get to take that for a second year. Give him good money for next year to make him sign that contract because he's a good, talented player. When he's on the field, he can play. He's not going to be in the halves. They've got Luai turning up. They've got Galvin there if they can fucking keep him there. But they've got no outside backs. They need more creativity in that team. He can play centre. He can play a ball-playing middle forward role. He's a big human being. Do not let him leave because Melbourne will pick him up for fucking peanuts and he'll be playing State of Origin next year.
Yeah.
West Tigers need to hold on to him.
But to be fair, anyone who went to Melbourne under Bellamy would probably end up, you know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. He is a talent, but he's just too injury prone for me. But I do agree. If he stays fit and if he went to Melbourne, it all comes down to the coach, right? And will he get that at the Tigers?
Yeah, I get that. But look, on the injury point, there was a period of time when Benji Marshall was young where he was doing shoulders like every year.
Correct.
There was 3 or 4 years there where his seasons were ending early. Injury plague. Everyone was wondering whether he was big enough or robust enough to get through the sport. And then he got out the other side and was just, fucking like a warrior who never missed a game. And that's happened with a few players before. They go through a rough period of injury and they come out the other side. If Tom Gilbert came off contract at the end of this year, I'd still be throwing a shit ton of money at him. He's played like fucking 6 games in the last 2 seasons. So I don't think you could be scared off by the fact that he's had a few knee injuries because they're not going to keep coming. How many people have had 8 fucking ACL tears? None. People usually max out at 4. What's he up to now? So He'll be right. He's 3/4 of the way there.
You're getting him at a bargain. Yeah.
All right. Another former Tiger, Dane Laurie at the Panthers. Now, I don't mind Dane Laurie. He goes all right. He's probably not a player you want to pick up and think, okay, I'm going to plug him in as my week in, week out player. But I think in a team like the Panthers, where Dylan Edwards is going to be a mainstay, they lose other outside backs like To'o. They might start losing Tungo if people ever start realising how good he is. They lose their halves to representative football. I think Dane Laurie is imperative to keeping depth in that outside backs. So I'd be keeping him.
Correct.
Obviously, within reason, you're going to pay him starters money, but definitely keeping him. Yep.
No, that's what I had, mate. I think he just covers too many positions. He's too versatile player, like you mentioned. Fullback, wing, centres, 5'8". Like he just covers them all, and he's actually a really good player. He played really well on the weekend. The weekend before, wasn't it, when Edwards was out?
Yeah.
Whenever it was. So yeah, no, I rate him. And when he left the Tigers are probably ruling that whatever happened there, I can't really remember. But he did leave the Tigers.
I'm pretty sure he just took a small contract to get the fuck out of there.
Probably. So
he took the Atoika Manu route.
Yeah. So no, I think absolutely, I'd sign down. All right, again, would come down to what you got to pay for him too, though. As you mentioned, you're not going to pay him huge money. So, but what's the depth policy or depth coverage if Edwards goes down? Who are you going to put at fullback? You know what I mean?
Isaiah Iongi or whatever his name is.
Correct.
There's always someone else coming through Penrith.
Yeah. Rabbitohs, Isaiah Tass. I would sign him. Again, I just think he's a good, strong centre. I'd have him, defensively he's pretty good. I think Tane Milne is a liability in terms of his, how he plays a game, and he's only one game away from being off for 16 weeks. So yeah, I'd sign him. I'd keep him in the squad.
Yeah, I agree. Like you look at the outside backs they're putting out this week. Like their centres are Tane Milne and Richie Kenner. For fuck's sake, like we're talking about Talakai being a front row of the centres. Richie Kenner's probably got extra kegs on Talakai at the moment. So missed 1 million tackles last week. He did. So I don't think they can let him go. I don't think they've got enough depth in their squad. And I know with Lewis Dodd turning up probably to play halfback next year from England. Jack White will probably move back at the centres. They'll probably, Campbell Graham surely going to fucking return at some stage. But what do they got in the wings outside Munro and Johnston? So I think Campbell Graham might end up pushing back out to a wing and Isaiah Tass in centres because he is a pretty quality player. I think that if he played for another club and was a consistent player in that team, he'd be in the Origin radar right now for Queensland because he's a good defender and very, very strong competitor, I'll say.
Yeah, agreed.
And sticking on the centre theme, Remus Smith at Melbourne. Now, this one's tricky because they've always got a plan, Melbourne. They've always got a next guy up and they'll always create something. I know Nick Meaney's now one centre. You've got Pappenhausen returning to fullback this week. Where's Su'a Fa'alongo going to fit the long term? Is maybe Warbrick or Coates going to move in so they can get all those guys in the back line? Who knows? Is Jack Howarth ever going to get a fucking proper run in first grade? And if so, now that Sean Bloor and Katoa have those edges sealed up, is Howarth going to be a potential centre in the future? So it's hard to say, but for me, I'm still signing him because, again, wing, centre, versatility. You've got options, you've got depth in your squad, and the other centre off contract is Grant Anderson. And if it's between those two, I'm taking Remus Smith. Yeah,
correct. I agree, mate. I think, it's probably a theme across many of this. These players is versatility, and the fact that you can play wing, you can play in the centre pairing. And like you mentioned, Nick Meaney before. Nick Meaney seems to be the Premier, which is odd because Nick Meaney started at fullback and then when he was at the Dogs, wasn't he? Fullback and then 5'8", and then centres and then wing and then so Nick Meaney's another guy who's played all over the shop too.
He actually started fullback in Newcastle. And then went to the Dogs.
Right.
And
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So he's been around, but it seems that they're leaning more towards Nick Meaney as the main centre there, and then sort of rotating through Remus Smith and some of the other centres there at the Storm. So, yeah, look, I think again if you can get him for the right price, I don't know how old Remus Smith is, 27 maybe.
Oh yeah, wouldn't be any older, surely.
Yeah, so yeah, you're kind of getting him in that mid range. So yeah, no, I'd reach on him. My turn.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah,
yeah, I know. I was like, oh, it's my turn. So the Dragons and Jack de Belin. Jack de Belin had a lot of hype about him when he came on the scene, and I feel like. Because Jack de Belin, did he play Origin 1 or 2 games?
Yeah, he did. And then he got accused of rape. Wrongly accused of rape, apparently.
Wrongly accused,
and that ruined his career.
Yeah, sounds a bit like the home plane. But anyway, that's a story for another day. No. So, yeah, I think I would let Jack de Belin go. I think he's probably he's versatile. He's at the moment, they've got him playing prop. He can play second row and lock. I think he's a true lock, really, but he's played second row and they've got him as a prop at the moment, front row. And that's probably just really coming down to body type and how he's at the moment, as opposed to where he should actually probably be playing. But anyway, I just think performance-wise, probably not there. He's getting a little bit older. The Dragons have got a young side too, but I think it's the Molo brothers, isn't it? Both those Molo brothers, both playing front row.
Yeah, Frankie and Michael. Michael's not really getting picked. Michael's not really getting picked. He's just playing carp at the moment.
Yeah, but anyway.
But they got some Couchman, the 2 Couchman twins coming through who are supposed to be guns. So
look, I just think, it's probably a no for me. I'd probably let him go. And again, might be one of those players who moves on to the Super League or, might get picked up here. But no, I'd probably just let him go.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. But before I do I've already disagreed. But no, he's not going to move to Super League. Souths have already tabled him a 2-year offer, apparently. And they could use a player of his calibre, that's for sure. But look, I still think he's playing good football. And if you put it into perspective, I think he's a better football player right now than the New South Wales captain. And they both are a similar style of footballer, hard-working, undersized prop who's more of a lock back in the traditional days.
Play 23 minutes a game.
Their fucking ass off. Well, no. Well, Jack can play 80, mate. They can both play 80, obviously. Yeah. But, no, look, I think they should sign him. And I think that they're starting to build something. And if you start taking players like de Belin, who is that rock in defence in the middle of the field for him, feel like you're taking a step back. Yeah, he might not be as good as he was pre-rape fucking accusation, but he is still a very good footballer. And if you think about how good he was back then, like he was on a trajectory to play for Australia easy. He was one of the best players in the comp the year before that. So
that's what I mean. I'm
keeping him. I'm keeping him.
That's what I mean. Exactly what you just mentioned. You. It's almost like you're talking about 2 different players. Like the Jack de Belin that I remember.
Well, not though. He's still good. He's still good. He's still winning them games.
But he's not that. He's not where he was when he got selected for Origin, and you know what I mean. Like,
of course he's fucking not. But we're not telling him to get selected for Origin. We're not picking a New South Wales team. I'm saying I want him in my fucking club team.
Yeah. I just think. Yeah, I just think he's probably starting to get a bit past it, and I'd probably make room for some younger players coming through and build on that rather than have, a rapist in my... No, I'm kidding.
Accused and acquitted.
Sorry, Jack.
Sorry, Jack, don't sue.
Sorry, Jack.
Look, I'm definitely disagreeing because I think he still offers something. I still think he offers a lot, and I think a 2-year contract is not ridiculous, not at all,
Yeah.
for a player, that does what he does and probably leads by example at training because he's always fucking fit, even though he sat out for the best part of 3 years. All right, Canberra, nation's capital. And I've actually got a double bang here. I couldn't split them. So, both elder statesmen, Jordan Rapiner and Elliot Whitehead. Now, both are very big contributors for the team still to this day. Rapiner's all of a sudden their fucking first choice fullback. Elliot Whitehead seems to score a try every second week. In between, he's milking penalties like a soccer player. I would say I would sign Rapiner and push Elliot Whitehead into my coaching staff. I don't think. I know he's going all right, Elliot, and they've had a few injuries in the forward, so he's been he's been called upon to really step up. But I think once they get Zach Hosking back next year, fit, they've got Hudson Young. I swear they signed someone else, but I can't if I can think off the top of my head. They've got a good little stable of young players coming through that forward pack. I think Elliot Whitehead needs to step aside and let someone else get 80 minutes a week. What's your thoughts?
I'd sign neither of them. I think so. Start with Rapiner. Jordan Rapiner is well and truly at the end of his career. He's playing good football for sure. But again, I'd put him in that Tane Milne. He's an absolute grub. He's one game away from sitting on the sideline for eight weeks every week. I also read somewhere that he was he was undecided whether he wants to go around next year, but if he got offered a contract, he'd probably be pretty keen. Now, I don't know if he's foxing and he's just trying to eke out another contract or whatever it is, but, if you're talking like that, I don't know if I really want to go around again. What happens if he gets 3 months into it, and he's just, heart's not in it, and you need a fullback and you don't have a fullback, and it's just, nah, get rid of him. Elliot Whitehead, I also read or heard somewhere that he wants to go back to the UK. So again, I would sign neither of those guys, to be honest.
That's some all black on all black violence there with the Jordan Rapiner comments. I'll tell you what.
It's true though. The guy, he plays for the Kiwis, and he's a fucking grub.
He's a competitor, mate. He's a competitor. He is a grub, and that's probably just because he's preaching his Mormon beliefs on people in tackles, right, with his elbows and things like that.
Yeah.
But he never gives up. I do like his competitive nature. And look, it's won in some games this year. Probably wasn't that great against the Cowboys on the weekend just gone. But, yeah, I don't know. I think they're losing Schiller. They've lost a few outside backs in recent years. And if he's their first choice fullback, well, fuck, the rest of them must really be struggling below him. So I don't know. I'd be inclined to keep him just for squad depth at the very least.
Yeah, again, the $1 million question comes back to what you're going to have to pay him too. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, look, I'd probably lean towards a no. Over to the Bulldogs, and the very last of the Bulldogs, Toby Sexton, the half there at the Bulldogs. For me, I would let Toby Sexton go. I would like to get a better half pairing for Burton. We go back to the SJ comment before. I would like to see SJ go to the Bulldogs. I think exactly for all the things that we mentioned when we were having that conversation. The Bulldogs, and I said this a couple of weeks back, I think I even might have said it. I'm going to have to go back and have a look, but I've said this to many people that I thought at the start of the season the Dogs would finish top 4 and the Dogs will win a premiership within 3. And everyone has laughed at me. Everyone has said, that's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. But they are. I think if they had a decent half like Johnson, like an elder, that's what they need. They need an elder statesman, if you will, because they've got a lot of great, good young talent in that side, and so they just need, particularly in that halves pairing, someone who can help steer him around the park. And look at what he does with the Warriors, So hopefully he could take that and replicate and squeeze 1 or 2 more years out, 3, and win a premiership. 1 or 2 more years out. But Toby Sexton, what does he really offer? What do he do at the Titans? I'd let him go.
I'm going to say something I thought I'd never say about Toby Sexton. I would 100% sign him if I was the Bulldogs.
Oh, God.
100%. Because I have bagged him for a long time. I don't think he was fucking shocking at the Titans. People were talking him up some games because of the amount of kicks he put in. Well, fucking sick, wow. Kicking downfield doesn't win your game. Yeah, it's not rugby union. That's right. But he's actually half the reason why Canterbury have taken that next step in these games this year. They started the year with True Hutchison, which I thought was a better idea, but the non-creativity left them just as shit as they were last year in certain aspects. Toby Sexton has elevated that game. Whether he's the best option for them going forward, probably not. There could be someone else out there on the market that's better. But right now, who is? Outside of Shaun Johnson, and even then, is he better at this stage of his career? So I think you're better the devil you know here, someone that knows the systems, built up combinations with the players, probably still pretty cheap because he's not going to have many suitors. I'd be re-signing Toby Sexton. Obviously, also looking for another half to come in too. But yeah, I'd keep him for sure because honestly, they've got no one else down there at Canterbury.
What would you pay? And again, it comes down to
$350.
Hang on. Trying to squeeze everybody under the salary cap. But what would you pay to have him and SJ in the same side?
Combined? $750.
I had 700. I was thinking 700 in my head. Yeah. Yeah. You'd probably pay him 300 and you pay SJ 400.
Yeah, I was going 350, 400, but yeah. Yep. Oh, not much difference.
Yeah.
All right. The problem though, actually, I was going to move on, but the problem with that, once you sign a player like SJ for a swan song contract, it's like he's an automatic selection in the team. So paying
regardless
a second
form,
person, you're basically paying that guy good money to play reserve grade regardless. So I don't know. I think you've got to go one or the other. I think that if you're going to re-sign Sexton and give him that proper crack, then you look more at a young guy to compete with him. That where you're not afraid to drop one if they're in horrible form. The other guy's fucking killing it. But I think if you sign Shaun Johnson, you pretty much got to pick him each week
and hope.
Yeah, and hope that he just catches his 2023 form.
Yeah. Piss break.
Piss break. All right, this brings us to our favourite part of the week, the massive sports cock of the week. And last week was an absolute whitewash in the votes. I think it might be the first whitewash this season, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe there was another one. But we've ended up with can't even find her fucking name, Laura Garcia Caro, with 100% of votes for celebrating too early down the stretch of her race walking, which isn't even a real sport anyway, and falling off the podium doing so in the last 2 meters. Suck a dick, Laura. That's what you get for gloating.
What were the other ones again?
We had the World Freak Fighting League and the International Cricket Committee for transplanting a whole pitch from out of state and it's still being dog shit, I believe.
Correct. Correct.
Was the nomination there from Millsy.
Good.
All right, this week, who have you got this week, Chris?
Mate, this week I have got whether it's the IOC or the Athletes Village, but basically what they've done is they've installed anti-sex beds in the in the Olympic Village. And it's the alleged strategy is aimed at deterring athletes from getting kinky during the competition. So it's the Paris 2024 Chiefs. Basically the organisers of the Paris 2024 Games have installed anti-sex beds. And by the way, the anti-sex beds are actually cardboard, made out of cardboard. So there you go.
What makes them anti-sex beds? Do they just collapse if two people are on them, or what?
Yeah,
What's the go?
I think that's the case. I think it's not the ability to hold two people on there. And number one, they're a single bed anyway. But yeah, I think the fact they're cardboard and they would probably just collapse under the extreme weight. But you know, when you look at some of these powerlifters and weightlifters and that, they're.
I was going to say, what about the weightlifters or the shot putters or things like that? Fucking hell.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Well, they go to register their weight and they put the strength of cardboard to the weight of the human sleeping on it. Why do they need to deter people from fucking anyway? Like, they're adults. It's not like outside of the gymnasts, and they've just got to keep their team doctors away from them, apparently. But, you know, like, everyone else is over 18. Who cares if they fuck at the Olympics? Let them go.
Yeah, well, a whopping 300,000 condoms will be made available for free for the 9,000 athletes in Paris. So enough for each to have two per day. Two per day.
That's not bad. Yeah. Fucking hell, should have trained hard and got to the Olympics. Yeah.
To be an Olympic athlete. So anyway, my massive sports cock of the week, quite funnily sports cock, goes to the anti-sex beds for the Olympics. There you go.
IOC anti-sex beds. All
pun
right.
Intended. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, this week I have gone Connor Clark, brother of Western Bulldogs player Charlie Clark, who this week received an $11,000 fine and a lifetime ban from all AFL and AFLW games for sinking one too many Furfies, VBs, or whatever other shit beer they drink down in Victoria, before running out the field at the end of the Collingwood North Melbourne game on Sunday. Now, streaking was only ever funny when people did it naked. Why people do it now with fully clothed on, knowing full well how harsh they come down on you for doing it, it's almost as spastic as an IBS sufferer's colon. So Connor Clark is my nomination this week. And look, Millsy isn't with us, and he didn't put a proxy in, so therefore Millsy's nomination this week for Massive Sports Cock of the Week is Freddie Mills for not being able to lodge a proxy vote for Massive Sports Cock of the Week.
That's fair. That's fair.
You'll find the ability to vote on Spotify. Get on there, give us your vote. Give us some comments too, because it's been a bit light in comments, and we love people giving us shit, especially British people. So, all right.
Maybe on the old streaking, maybe they streak nowadays with clothes on because of the whole transgender thing. They don't want people to know what gender they are.
Well, I'd be more worried about them charging with some sort of pedophilic sex crime, because there'd be kids in there, you know, like exposing yourself in front of children, because that shit stains for a while, I'll tell you what. So, yeah. But all right, look, we're going to move on, and we're going to do our predictions for the NRL this season, because we talk a bit about it, but we don't really put our money where our mouth is outside of our failing multis. So, Game 1, Friday night, Dolphins versus Storm in Suncorp. The Paps is back. Farlongo goes to the wing. And other than that, it's kind of weird to see Melbourne at Origin time not that affected. They've lost Harry Grant, Xavier Coates. The Dolphins lose Felice Kafusi, I think it's the only one.
And Hammer.
And the Hammer, obviously, and the Hammer. So 2 each. What's your prediction in this one?
Storm, mate. Storm with Paps back. I think that Warriors win over there in Auckland was pretty good by the Storm, albeit I thought the Warriors should have got up there and the game got away from them. Anyway, I think the Storm, Paps back, not missing too many. I think they'll get the job done.
Yeah, I find this a real tough game to judge. Obviously, the Dolphins have been very resilient this year. No, Harry Grant's the biggest one for me for Melbourne. Jerome Hughes is very fucking creative, but he's more of a reactive player of quick play the balls and stuff more than a sort of setup player. And I think without Harry there and Bronson Garlick playing 9, it's going to take a bit of creativity away. Fucking flip of the coin for me. I'm just going to go different just to be different. I'm going to take the Dolphins in that one. All right. Then we've got Saturday, first game, Seabus Super Stadium, shitly located stadium in the Gold Coast, allegedly, where the Titans are taking on your Warriors. Who you got in that one?
Mate, I think the Warriors bounce back there. Obviously, they've got no Barnett due to origin duties, and DWZ is out. But I just think the Warriors in that first opening game, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so against the Storm, ended up 14-0 up and looked really, really good. Like I said before, I think that game just kind of got away from them. They had a few bad calls as well. I think that, the Titans lost to the Tigers on the weekend, and I just think I think the Titans are really struggling. I know this is at home, and typically the Titans at home against the Warriors are actually pretty good. So history would suggest otherwise, but I just think I'm going with the Warriors too. Going with my heart.
Well, look, RTS is back this week, and the Warriors bench is far, far superior to the Titans bench. But I'm going to go against you again this time, not just for the sake of it. I actually think the Titans are going to bounce back. There is no way you can lose to the Tigers one week and not fucking show up for work the next week. Like that, they've got to have some. If they don't show up this week, they've got no pride in themselves. Sack the fucking lot of them. So Titans for a close victory, but a victory.
I think.
All right.
I think. Hang on. I think that logic stands when you're a good side, when you're up the top of the table.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, fair call. Not an embarrassment yourself. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, look. Then we move on to the Roosters and Dogs, and the Dogs are missing quite a few players, obviously, with Origin. Matt Burton's been named. Is he not 18th man? Is Mitch Barnett 18th man this week?
Mitch Barnett's 18th, yeah. Mitch Barnett's 18th, yeah.
Okay, right. So Matt Burton will most likely play. Who have you got here? What do you reckon?
Yeah, look, I think, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, I think that the Roosters will win. I just think the loss of Crichton, he's such a big part of that team. And I think, who have the Roosters got out?
Just
obviously,
Angus Crichton as well.
Angus Crichton.
Oh, and Lindsay Collins. And fucking Connor Watson.
Connor Watson, correct. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Look, I think the Dogs are playing well at the moment, but I think the Roosters should get the job done in a close one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think the Roosters will do them there. Then we've got on Saturday night, round out Super Saturday, we've got the Rabbits at Acor against the Seagulls. I think the Rabbits, they're missing Latrell and Cameron Murray. They've missed Cameron Murray for most of this year. Seagulls missing, obviously, DCE.
Olakawatu, Ruben.
Olakawatu.
Yeah.
And Jake Trebojevic.
Yep.
And
Ruben Garlick,
and a lot of players injury. Yeah, Ruben Garrick's he got knocked the fuck out, so he can't play this week.
Yeah.
Paseka broke his thumb. Corey Waddell's been named this week, even though he could barely walk in last week's game. I can't believe he went back out in the field. Balls of steel, that guy. But lost a lot of players. What's your thoughts? You think it's too big a hill to climb for Manly with all the injuries?
Yeah, I think South, mate, like you said, Trell Mitt is out due to Origin and Cameron Murray. I think that Souths are not back, but they're certainly riding high, and they're riding off, the confidence of some pretty good wins in the last couple of weeks. So I think that they get the job done against Manly. I just think Manly just got too many out. I think DCE is such a big part of that team, and I think you pull him out of that team. Jake Trebojevic, Olakawatu, There's a lot of big names out, so I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, and look, DCE's out. They've named Carl Lawton at 7 this week. I reckon it's paying about $97 for Carl Lawton to actually play halfback once this game kicks off, because that is just fucking ridiculous. I think we'll find Jamie Humphries, we talked about earlier, he's named an extended squad. I think he'll probably get his NRL debut this week.
He'll come up,
yeah. But either way, doesn't matter. I agree. I think that with all the injuries on top of losing DC and that to Origin, I think that South's probably going to get there. Is that 4th win in a row? Fucking hell, who would have thought that 4 weeks ago? They could barely string 2 fucking points in a row, let alone 4 wins. All right, Sunday.
I was going to say, imagine if they made the 8.
Oh, show you how shit Jason Demetrio is. I'll tell you.
Could you imagine if they made the 8 from here? Like, just
I'm almost kind of cheering for him to do so. Not even joking. I'm almost cheering for him to do it. I love a good underdog. Let's go.
I will say, or a good underbunny, I will say they've got the roster to do it.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with that, because I think their roster is well overrated. They've got some good players in that roster, but it's not. The fact that Richie Kenner and Tane Milne are the starting centres and Jacob Gagai is the winger, I can't say they've got a roster to do it. You know, Michael Cheekham, good player in his own right, but starting second row week in, week out, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they've got the roster to do it. I just think it'd be really fucking hilarious that Jason Demetrio, who was so arrogant in so many fucking ways, especially changing his halves pairing, gets booted, and now they start winning week in, week out. Good endorsement for Ben Hornby, forever is looking for a coach, Parramatta. All right, and the last game of the round, the undefeated for one game Tigers versus the Canberra Raiders at Campbelltown. They produced the magic at Leichhardt. Can they do it at West's home field as well in back-to-back weeks, Chris?
I don't think they can, mate. I think, knowing what Ricky Stewart's like, and he would have got an absolute rocket up them last week after getting absolutely pantsed by the Cows. So I think that, the Raiders coming back this week will be a different outfit. And let's be honest, the Tigers at Leichhardt versus the Tigers anywhere else are two different teams. So, yeah, no, I think the Raiders get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that Hudson Young didn't get picked in the New South Wales team means they've lost no one from their side. So they're good to go. But there is one thing to note. Talon De Silva's been named on the bench with Coruscant back starting at 9. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Coruscant still starts this game at halfback and Aiden Caesar starts on the bench. Talon De Silva starts at hooker, because Abby Coruscant was absolutely fucking outstanding for the Tigers on the weekend. And I know people were clamouring, how's he not get picked for New South Wales and all that jazz. I'm not one of those people. He's good and everything. I don't think he should have been a certain pick for New South Wales. But that game on the weekend was that was fucking outstanding. That was inspiring stuff by him. So, yeah, that'll be my selection. But, yeah, I'm going to go Canberra. Easy victory. Pretty comfortable victory, actually.
Comfortable.
All right. Comfortable. All right. Our multi last week failed at the first leg, and then when it got to my
Millsy.
legs too. But
thank you, Millsy.
But, Chris, you got both your legs. So we'll start with you. What do you got this week?
Well, unlike the paraplegics that you are, I can use both my legs. So, so I'm going to go the Roosters 1-12 in a close one against the Dogs for all the things we mentioned before. And likewise, I think the Bunnies. I think the Bunnies will go 1-12 against Manly. I think that'll be a close scoring affair as well. I think it was 580. I think we also need to mention that we're doing $5 bets this week.
Yeah, we are doing $5 bets because Millsy's a dog.
Sorry,
that
$5
shoot-
odds. $5 odds for
sorry.
for each of our
Yeah.
legs. Yeah.
We're doing that because Millsy's a weak-gutted dog who decided that he needs a career over a podcast that currently pays us no dollars. All right, now I've gone Gold Coast Titans, like I said earlier, to win against New Zealand Warriors 1-12. And I've taken Canberra to beat the -4.5 start at the line. That one pays $7.42. So juicy. Now, if I add all these together by actually putting all the tips together, then who'd you take? Sydney Roosters and
Roosters
Souths
112, Bunnies 112. Yeah.
And those four legs come to 79.81 with the power play on Sportsbet. That's very juicy.
Very juicy. Chuck 500 on that. That'll give you a nice holiday to Barbados.
Or a lot of anger towards us.
Well, the skin's almost worn off it. So that's us for this episode. Please follow us on our socials. Search for Masturbated Sports on Facebook and Instagram.
Subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts.
And most importantly, join us again next episode for some more engaging discussions,
Diverse perspectives.
And to experience the friction of masturbated sports.